Hello, tonight I have come out to the coast, the wonderful coast, and I'm here to get some long exposures of that. When you say that, what do you mean, Andy? What I mean, the tide coming in, I mean the clouds moving, they are moving quite gently, and yeah, nothing else other than a nice long exposure, or two, or three. So you can see we're quite low over here. We've got a 10-stop filter on and also a soft graduated ND to really pull down the exposure in this big thing up here, sky. So I'm very close to the shoreline. You may be able to see it's coming in just there. I think the tide might be going out. I really haven't checked. But on the front of the lens here, I have the K&F graduated filter. Behind that, a 10-stop. So you might ask why I'm using a graduated filter when I'm going to put this into Lightroom in any case and darken the sky down and play with it a bit. And the answer is quite simple. I don't want to have to do too much. I don't want to have to blend exposures. I'm trying to get a long exposure in any case, so blending exposures isn't the simplest thing. In actual fact, it's a real mistake to try and blend exposures when you're doing a long exposure, for the very simple reason that if you're trying to capture the movement of things, that movement's going to change, particularly in the clouds, which is of course the one thing I want to darken down. So I've got an exposure going here. I've got it running on what's called lifetime on here, which is a manual mode. I'm going to just stop that, which allows you to operate the camera in manual in a bulb type mode, but it allows you to also see a build up of the images that's going, so you don't have to be absolutely precise and well, actually it's not even precise, is it? It's a lot of guesswork when you're working with bulb and long exposures and such. You can use calculators for filters and all this kind of thing, but if you're really trying to hedge your bets, then you want to overexpose them a bit and work on them in post. But the lifetime on here is wonderful because it just builds up an image, and along with that image, also a histogram, and that is so important. It's a wonderful feature of these cameras, and I don't understand quite why lots of other manufacturers don't build such a thing into their systems. It's just maybe Olympus has patented it. I don't know. Who knows?
I wonder whether I should have been a bit closer to the sea coming in, just lapping up. The problem, of course, is it might move the tripod and ruin the shot. Probably why I didn't. But I do like the dynamics of this shot. It's worked quite well. The graduated NDs helped me quite a lot with the sky. Of course, the reflection will always be a little darker in any case, so that's not so bad. I don't have to control that in the same way. Let me know what you think of it. So of course I could have achieved this without the graduated ND. It would just require a little bit more post-processing. This is a newly acquired filter system from K&F Concept. I thank them for sending it to me. I've been using it for a little while, and there'll be a full review coming up.
One of the wonderful things about this beach is even when the tide's out and has been out for some time, even under quite a warm sun, it does tend to stay very wet, so you get these fantastic reflections. So I've come up onto the pier just in time to catch the sun coming out of that bank of the cloud, and again I'm working a long exposure. This may not work because there may be some bounce on the pier boards, I'm not sure, but it's one of those shots that I often come and get. It's a particularly nice tonight with the cloud and everything, so it's yeah. This one's a bit experimental because it's a long exposure. Being a long exposure, it should not capture any people that walk through the frame. You'll catch them if they linger, of course, but if they just walk through the frame, it won't be an issue.
Well, thankfully it did work, and it doesn't feel like there was much bounce either, although I have felt bounce on the pier before, but usually with kids running by. I'm not sure I've ever got a shot of this with a long exposure before. I like the dynamic of the clouds, but even ignoring those, there's a dynamic in the floor as well. Those grey hardwood boards really zip through the image, and they really accentuate any shot down the pier.
So for these shots, I've taken the long exposure 10-stop filter off. It just didn't seem like the right thing to do in this particular instance. I've got quite a lot of shots of this kind of scene here before now, some that I'm really proud of. I keep coming back to it every now and again. I think I might get something better, and I suppose I could. Earlier on, you may have seen in the other shots that this bank of cloud up here really kind of crisped up with those orange and pink hues that you get sometimes with sunsets, and there's a few still left there, but there's almost a mackerel sky on it, which is really very nice. It's what I was trying to capture earlier. I don't know whether it's done that at this stage, of course, but you know. Oh, don't worry, thank you. But you know, as the sun's come out from that cloud bank, it's changed things quite a bit, because yeah, and now it's possibly just that little bit too bright and more difficult to capture a good exposure on, but hey, who knows.
This is a straight shot of the pier with the sunset behind it, no long exposure here, and I'm showing you this so you can see the kind of mackerel sky that I mentioned earlier. The long exposure process kind of obliterated this. I'm not sure which I like more. Do let me know what's your preference.
Well, you see, I get to all the most salubrious places. Bit of a building site on the pier here, but I've got a shot looking this way. Again, it's a shot I've taken before. I'm just playing now. So I see the potential in this shot is very much in playing about with it quite a lot in post-production. There's a lovely pool of light kind of being spilt by the lamppost on the boards down here, and obviously we've got another pool of light coming off the lights on the shelter over there, and I see this being a very kind of darkened, I wouldn't say moody image, but certainly a lot darker than I've got it at the moment. And I'm overexposing, well, kind of properly exposing it. I mean, I'm not underexposing in camera. I'll do all of this in post-production. And well, I hope it works. Do let me know if you like the shot.
So I want to explain my process and choice here. It's quite a nice shot as a colour shot, but it is so much better as a black and white. It's got the moodiness that I wanted. I actually wanted more, but it's so much harder trying to get more with that bench there, without the light on it. You kind of just lose the definition, and without it, the image is nothing. But I like it. So there's no true black in here, and it's not immediately obvious until you put it against a true black. And I don't have a true black on this page at the moment. I think it works nicely. I think to have put a true black on here may have been just that little bit too much. If you want to see more, please subscribe if you haven't already, and tinkle the bell. And to really support me, please buy me a coffee. There's a link down in the description.
One of the difficult things to do in public places, of course, is avoid catching too many people in your shots. And it's not just people, actually. I've got a real bugbear about this place, and it's this damn array of bins here. And boy, they're ugly. I mean, it's bad enough having the litter bin where these fellas are just stopped by, but this array of 4 bloody dumpsters down here absolutely destroys shots on this pier, and it's a great annoyance. I have spoken to the pier management about it, and they said, well, there's not a lot we can do because North Norfolk District Council say that they've got to be there. Madness. If they've got to be there, build something to put the damn things in, because they're ugly as sin.
I shot this on the way back to the car, literally just before they were kicking people out and closing the doors. Why not check out last week's videos where we look at finding compositions?